This game goes to 11. This is a card game whose title seems to reference the most famous line in a very famous movie. A movie that, unless I'm mistaken, is not referenced anywhere in the rules or on the package. It is only hinted at. And maybe that's the idea. They wanted to pay homage to the movie without having to go through all the trouble of, I don't know, figuring out the conditions by which they would be allowed to actually mention it. This game goes to 11, is a card game, and pretty much this is the game. You also have the rules, you have another piece of component used for a variant, but the heart of the game is this deck of cards here, which has cards with numbers between 1 and 9, and it also has two special cards, the 11 card and the Cranky Librarian card. To start the game, you simply shuffle the deck, you give a hand of 3 cards to each player, and then you place a card face up next to the deck to start the discard pile. During your turn, all that you do is you play a card from your hand, you place it on the discard pile, but in a way that the total of all the numbers in the discard pile are visible, and in fact you announce the new total. If I play that card, I say 6, and then maybe the next player plays this card here and says 8, and so on and so forth. When you play a card on the discard pile, one of 4 things may happen. The total of the discard pile is less than 11, in which case nothing happens. You played your card, you replenish your hand back to 3, and then the game goes to the next player. Or, because the card displayed makes the discard pile go above 11. In this case, well, no matter what I play, we are gonna go over 11. So I play this card here, and that's it. When the card that you play makes the discard pile go over 11, you take the discard pile, you place it face down in your play area. Now that has become your penalty pile. At the end of the game, the player with the fewest cards in their penalty pile will win the game. And then the game continues with players playing, etc., etc. What else can happen when you play a card? It may be that the card that you played makes the discard pile go exactly to 11, in which case you, the player that played that card, take the discard pile and you give it to any player that you want, and they have to add it to the penalty pile. So hitting 11 exactly is good, because then you decide who takes that penalty. Other things that may happen. There cannot be 2 cards of with the same number, one next to the other, in a discard pile. So, for example, if I want to play this card here, I cannot play it on top of that discard pile, but whoa, I start a new discard pile. Yes, there may be multiple discard piles in play, which means that then players, when it's their turn, can choose to play on whichever discard pile they want. And so that is fun. That is a fun option. Somehow I didn't see that happen as often as I expected. I expected the game would have 3 or 4 discard piles in play. Most of the time there is only one, because actually when there are multiple ones, you want to hit that one to give it to someone else. What else can happen when you play a card? If you play the 11 card, no matter what the total on the discard pile is at that point, the discard pile goes to 11, and you immediately assign the discard pile to someone. Unless someone plays the dreaded Cranky Librarian. She can be played out of turn when somebody is using this card to give the discard pile to someone else. You interrupt with the Cranky Librarian, and now you, the player that played that card, have to take the penalty, the discard pile as penalty. The Cranky Librarian can also be played as a normal card in the discard pile, in which case not only does she count as 0, but she also reduces the value of the discard pile to 0, which means the discard pile will be a little more substantial when it hits, because of that there may be more cards in it. And so maybe there's a player that has no cards and you really want them to get a lot of cards in their penalty pile, then you use the Librarian trying to make a ginormous pile, hoping of course that doesn't go back to you. Something important I want to reiterate, because players in my group I had a misunderstanding at the beginning. The victory conditions are based on the number of cards in your pile, the fewest cards, not the lowest total value, which also would make scoring this game a total pain in the neck. No, just the number of cards, which means that for penalty purposes, all of these cards have exactly the same value, which is 1 card each. And this is in essence, I would say almost in totality, how you play the game. There is a variant, but the main engine remains pretty much the same. So this game goes to 11. This is frankly mainly a party game. Party game in the sense that you can play it with a lot of people. You can, because the gameplay is so fast, so downtime shouldn't be a problem. Because the rules are so simple, so you can play it with completely casual players, even with non-regular gamers, with no gamers at all. They can still get it. You could play it with a 6-year-old, and actually they're doing some math. They're adding some numbers that'll be good. So very large range of people that may play the game. And it's a party game in the sense that it's not so much about the strategy, but it's much more about the fun, it's about laughing, it's about the bragging talk, it's about those in-your-face moments, it's about laughing at the crazy things that will happen. Like a player that always gets stuck at having to take the pile, which people are gonna have fun, you know, laugh at that person, haha, of course, very amiably, in a very friendly fashion. I don't endorse laughing at people in a mean way. So people are laughing, oh my gosh, look at you, haha. But then after a while you realize, yeah, but if that player is getting all of the pile, the big pile is pretty fun in a sense, but multiple players maybe have 0 cards. So now actually we need to spread the love, or I should say the hate? No, that's again, that's too strong a word. You should spread the annoyance. Actually, because of that, the game also has a little bit of a negotiation, almost diplomatic element, because it's precisely like, hey, it's kind of fun to get Marco saddled every time with a discard pile. Look at his face. I look at the expression on his face. But then at the end, the player next to me who has 0 cards and I have 2, that player is gonna win. So actually, maybe, you know, let's relax a little bit and change our target. So there is an interesting discussion element. Again, it really seems to me like in a party game, the engine is mainly about moderating, about creating social interactions, ways for people to interact in a fun way. This being said, the little bit of strategy that is in the game is not entirely irrelevant. If nothing else, again, you have to make sure that everybody gets some penalties, and so you have to figure out ways of distributing the penalties. Another thing is what you do with high value cards. There's a little bit of push your luck element there. If you have low cards, oh well, there are various ways in which that may go, but it's not as relevant. Suppose, however, interesting situation here. Suppose that this is the situation there. With this kind of cards, oh well, I'm gonna play a card and take the pile as a penalty. There's just no way I'm gonna be below 11. But at this point, I can go different ways. I can, in fact, get rid of this one, because the high value cards, of course, are the ones that are most likely to get you busted, to get you busted. So to force you to take the pile. So I say, okay, I'm gonna get rid of that one. Since I am taking it anyways, I use it to flush out that annoying card, so now I'm safer. Oh, but of course, they also can be more powerful weapons. So if I want to risk it, if I want to chance a little bit, I'll take the penalty with the lower card. I keep high value cards in my hand, because then next time, suppose the player before me starting a pile with this, now that pretty much almost ensures that the player next to me that goes next will go bust. They may have a 1, they may have other cards, of course, but chances are good. So the way you decide to preserve, to save the high value cards or not, that's important. Also, maybe the player next to me already has a ton of cards and I don't need a player to take more decks. Then I'm gonna try to get rid of my high value cards to pretty much protect that player, because I want that other player to get a lot of penalties. So again, it's not a mindless game at all. There are a couple of little interesting things that you can do that make the game again, they give the game a little bit of an angle, a little bit of a wrinkle from the point of view of design and strategy, but they don't make it any less than a fun, simple card game that really anybody, pretty much anybody can play. This game goes to 11. It's very light, but pretty fun. Definitely a good filler, a good warm-up game. You may play with people that don't know each other very well, and by the end, well, it's a good game to break the ice, because it's so simple, because it's so informal, and because it does encourage table talk. This game goes to 11. Simple, but fun.